Hello, my name is Angela Nicholson. I am with Color of Kismet. Color of Kismet is my business. I'm a therapist and a psychic and a healer, and I also have this business. And I make essential oil blends that change people's lives. So I invite you to visit us at colorofkismet.com, or you can find us on Instagram or Facebook, any of those things. So this is an attempt to keep up with the daily practice. I have been doing a lot of thinking about the daily practice as I very quickly, what can I tell you? Very quickly, I'm like, well, gosh, I don't know. The cards, people were interested in that. The contemplations, not so much. And the more that I thought about it, the more I was like, I do not want to get hung up in this whole idea that I have people that I have to please in this whole thing, because I started it, I started everything really for me as I'm like stuck in my house, but also for people that I think could benefit from things that I know or am interested in or learn about. And so I decided just to start talking about stuff that I think is important. And sometimes it'll be stuff that maybe you think is important, and sometimes it'll maybe be stuff that you don't really think is that important. That's okay. So today, the first one that I'm going to do in this way is someone asked me last week, there's so much happening in the world, and people's rights are different now. Our rights to be out in the world are different now, where we can travel, what resources we have access to, who, jobs, even healthcare. There's a lot of things that are different, and people are thinking about things in a different way. And I think that's great. I think that's part of what this time is about. She asked me how you could tell the difference between denial and acceptance. And I thought it was an incredibly astute question. And my first answer, in that moment was, denial has a foundation of fear, and acceptance has the opposite. It's a foundation that lacks fear. And the more that I thought about that, and I was thinking about how to, present this to people, I went down about 1 million different trains, and that's why it's evening now. And I'm doing this video because this is, I think, the 4th one that I've done, because I kept changing my mind. I kept understanding different parts differently. And so here we are. I will keep this as short as possible. I know already that I will probably use this video to just explain the difference between denial and acceptance, and that I will probably create another video to walk people through how to challenge yourself. Am I in denial? Am I in acceptance? And also have a few different methods that you can use with links and stuff like that to actually work yourself through the process of surrender, so that you can pull yourself out of denial. So, because there's no way people are interested in like an 11,000 minute conversation with me about this right now. We'll just get as much done as I feel like, is reasonable. Okay, so how can you tell the difference? Well, the foundation, one of them is fear, one of them isn't. That's the very most simple answer. But the thing is that fear is tricky. And fear is the foundation of feelings like anger, grief, jealousy, anxiety. fear is the basis of all of those. And so anxiety, I'm afraid of the thing over there. I'm afraid of the person. I'm afraid of the circumstance. I'm afraid of feeling this way. That's what anxiety is. It's like anticipation of feeling something that you don't want to feel, or being put in a situation that you don't want to be put in. Anger is the most natural response in the world to when a boundary has been broken. When you have set a boundary with someone and they have stepped over it, willfully or not, that is when people get angry. Now, I still submit that fear is the basis of that, because it's fear that you're going to hurt me. It's fear that I'm in danger. When someone breaks a boundary, it's about fear of danger or fear that you're going to be hurt. Jealousy, I'm afraid that you don't love me. I'm afraid that I'm not lovable. Grief, I'm afraid to be without. I'm afraid to be without a person. I'm afraid to be without this memory. I'm afraid to be without this thing that reminds me of the way that I felt that time. Grief even over dreams or hopes or plans or ideas. That's also grief. So all of those things are about fear. Fear is the foundation of denial. So we can sort of say already that anxiety, anger, jealousy, these feelings that fear just sort of breathes from, we could maybe even say that the foundation of denial might look like some of those things or many of those things. When we're not in alignment with ourselves, that's when we begin to feel these things. So essentially, when we're not in alignment with our higher self, with our, some people call it their soul, their intuition, when we're not in alignment, it's because we're pushing back. It's because we're resisting. We resist because of beliefs that we have. There's a belief that's blocking our ability to believe the truth. So if my higher self says, Angelin, you deserve this job, you've worked very hard, these are the things that you know and understand about yourself, but if I have anything inside of me that says you're not good enough, though, they're not going to like you there. You're too old, or you're too young, or you don't look a certain way, or you're just not very likable. There's no way you're going to get that job. Do you think I'm going to get that job? I mean, I'm pushing out my higher self, and my higher self is pushing back, which is why we run into trouble and drama happens, because our higher self is pushing back, trying to get us to see the truth. But that's a whole nother thing. We're not going to get on that. But okay, so when we're not in alignment with ourselves, there's a belief that is blocking or resisting our true selves. Okay, we got that. So the beliefs often look like I'm not lovable, like I mentioned before, or I'm insignificant, I'm unimportant, I'm not in control. So the battle is really between the belief and the higher self. And this is something that I talk about a lot with people. This is why I treat, as a therapist, anxiety, depression. I treat these things as, and try to train people to treat them as red flags, as things that they should be the thing that says, hey, you're feeling real upset right now. that means that something is not in alignment, Angela, and you need to sit down and figure this out right now. Do not react. Do not react right now. That's what I try to train people, and to do that myself, to treat it as a red flag so that you can talk yourself down in that kind of way, rather than treating it as just who you are, a person that just carries this all the time. The depression, the anxiety, the jealousy. I'm just a jealous person. No, that doesn't have to be true. Or I'm just an anxious person. It doesn't have to be true. Because ultimately, at the basis of those things, there is a misalignment. So then how do you move into alignment and away from fear-based belief? Well, you have to remove resistance. Does it feel like we're going around in a circle? Yes. You have to remove resistance to the truth, and that can look several different ways. I teach many. One of the things you can do, one of the first places you can start, is when someone that you trust or care about or value their opinion says something like, I really liked that thing you said the other day. That was really brave. You can start by, when you get a compliment like that, saying, oh, wow, thank you. Rather than saying, oh, it wasn't a big deal. Or, oh, well, I didn't do as good as John. Or, right back at you, baby. All of those things are deflections, and they're cute and funny at times. But the truth is that we don't, as a culture, we don't know how to accept a compliment. You can start with that. You can start with allowing yourself to believe that the thing that person said that was so nice is true. What if it is? What if it is? Sit with that rather than pushing it away. That's the first thing you can do. I notice it all the time. I think that we confuse humility with, that's not humility. I think that we push in our culture that humility is a good thing, but that's not humility. That's not good for us. It's good to believe that we're good. It's good to be able to see that we are valuable like other people are valuable. It's easier to see sometimes their value. That's one of the things you can do. Another thing you can do is when you catch yourself, like, I have a technology thing. I always have. My brain doesn't wrap around it. It is very, very difficult for me. It is not intuitive in any way. I frustrate people. I'm the one that can make the person want to hit their head on the wall with technology. Nothing's intuitive to me about it. And I felt ancient for quite a while in this regard. It's very difficult. It's easy for me to misunderstand someone's direction and then to immediately feel like I'm never going to get it. And sometimes I'll even hear myself say, you're never going to get it. You're never going to get this, so why don't even try. So one of the things you can do is take something like that, whatever yours are, and when you hear yourself doing it, you say, no. I used to believe that, but I don't anymore. Don't repeat it. Just say, I used to believe that, but I don't anymore. If that's all you can say, that's great. If you can go further, say, now I know the truth, which is I'm capable of learning anything I want. I can learn this too. When I approach myself with patience, others will too. Anything like that. Those things are not lies. They're just a different perspective. One of the big misunderstandings, I think, in the world that I work in is that therapists and teachers want you to just use positive words, even though it's not the truth. I don't want you to do that. I want you to take what you're seeing. In this case, in this example, what I'm seeing is a feeling of hopelessness around technology. But what I also know is that I'm capable of learning because I learn stuff every day. And so if I choose to say, I used to believe that, but I don't anymore. Now I know that I can learn things. I can learn these things. That feels so much lighter and so much better. And that helps reroute my neural pathways, which is ultimately what we're trying to do, is to reroute our neural pathways. You have to willfully shift these things. Another way that you can willfully remove resistance is to sit down and try to meditate. And I know that I'm not even the first person you've probably heard this from today. And it's probably not the first time you've heard me say it at all. But sitting down and learning to quiet your mind. Understand, nobody's good at it when we start. Nobody is. It's frustrating for all of us. All of us live in a world of instant gratification. You're not the only one. I'm not the only one. But sitting down, even if all you do is just sit down and look at a word or listen to a contemplation or play with some cards, if that's how you start, you still start. You just still do it. You might not even feel like meditating, and you might not want to meditate at all. Okay, just sit there then. Don't meditate. But practicing meditation will help you reroute those neural pathways so much more quickly, because what you're doing is you're opening, and you're not resisting anymore. And when you're opening, your brain goes, and it just like, there's electricity moving through it, and you process things. See, right now we don't really process things because we don't allow it, first of all, emotionally. But second of all, we don't allow it because of all the distractions that are going on. And so much never gets talked about. So much never even gets looked at. Denial versus acceptance is really about being in fear or being able to look at who you are, at being able to question yourself and say, hey, was I really right about that? Or was I really wrong about that? Was that person really right? Or is that person really wrong? The foundation is self-knowledge. When you are in acceptance, you already have gone through the process of figuring it out. So you don't have to face the fear anymore. You felt the fear, and you allowed yourself to feel the fear move through your body, and then you realized that you eventually moved out of it. It might have taken a couple of days, it might have taken a week, it might have taken a few hours, but you were able to move through it. The people who are in acceptance are the ones who are in confidence that that is a process that happens. We might fight the next one still because we don't want to hurt again, but that's human and that's okay. The process is still important to help yourself find surrender. Okay, denial, fear-based, acceptance, the opposite. There is no fear. There might be a healthy respect for danger or something, but it's the foundation is not fear. Okay, so this was for April 14th, y'all. I will see you tomorrow, and I will talk about, I'll be dressed exactly the same way. It'll be the same lighting and everything. It'll be like, you never left. And I will talk about ways, specific sort of modalities that you can use, and different things that will help you move through denial and fear. Okay, have a good one. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Angela Nicholson, colorofkismet.com.